Welcome everyone back to Beat the Game. It's time for another multiplayer deck tech, and today we're going to talk about a multiplayer leadership deck called Welcome Aboard and Ready to Regroup. So this deck is going to revolve around two really key pieces, but this is going to be a really fun multiplayer deck that you'll be able to play with a group of 2, 3, or 4 players. Which is going to be very fun because it's going to do something that leadership doesn't really do well normally, and which is interact with the other players at the table. So this is going to be a deck really focused on, doing what you want to do as a hero, but also being able to support and really engage with the other players at the table. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is let's talk about our deck. All right, so our deck is pretty fun. Since we are doing a leadership deck, there's a couple cards that are very important in the leadership deck, and those are going to be extra allies. So the first two cards we're going to be putting in is a Triskelion to bring our ally limit to 4, and also Nowhere to bring our ally limit to 5. Okay, so that's the first key to that. Then we're going to be focusing on two particular cards that are extremely cool now. The first one is a zero-cost event called Welcome Aboard, hence the name of the deck. Welcome Aboard is a zero cost that you can only play if you are a Guardian character, okay? Or if you have the Guardian trait, and then it's max once per round. So obviously you can't play more than one of these a turn, so it's just one. But what it does is a hero action, and it reduces the cost of the next ally played this phase by 2. So it's basically, if you're doing this for yourself, it's a reduction of 1. Okay, which is why it's like it's an okay card, but I feel like if it's if you're playing this on somebody else, it becomes way more potent, because then it's a true reduction of 2 on their side. So that's where it becomes pretty interesting, that you can actually play this on any character. So it's kind of like Captain America's passive ability that reduces the next ally played by 1. That's good, and that could be a pretty cool synergy, if you have one of these characters. And I chose these two because they have aerial as well, so there's going to be like a little side synergy in there as well for aerial characters. But this is what we're going to focus on. So the Welcome Aboard reduces the cost of 2, which is very cool. Now the next card we're going to focus on is called Regroup, hence the deck again. Now Regroup is a 1-cost support that you really got to be careful, because once you play it, at the end of the round, it goes away. Okay, so you play it on your turn, but at the end of the round, it goes away. But what it does is just amazing. Obviously, the worst scenario against that card is okay. So actually, this makes playing against the collector way more fun. All right. So what it is? Okay. So what it does is, when an ally is defeated by an enemy attack. Now, an enemy attack is either the villain or the minion. So it doesn't have to be just an attack from the boss. So villain or minion, it says. If the ally is defeated, you return it to your owner's hand. So if you're playing against the collector, so you would, and that's for everyone at the table. So let's say you're playing 4 players against the collector, and there's like 7 allies on the table. Well, now's your chance to block with all the allies, because there's only 1 card that's going to go to the collection, and then you get to replay all your allies from your hand on the next turn. So this is extremely powerful, especially if you have multiple allies that you want to put in front of the boss or the minions, and if you feel like you're getting a little overwhelmed. Regroup is positively one of the superb cards, and this is going to be cool because it interacts with the entire table. So that's why it's so strong. So Regroup, again, it's an interrupt and that's for everyone. If your ally is defeated by an enemy attack, so just another little FYI, if the villain attacks and you defend, and let's say there's a boost card like say the Star Shark that deals the damage and defeats it, this will not trigger. Okay, that will not work. Also, if you have a rapid response, this will supersede the rapid response. Okay, so that's just some of the little rulings that you need to know. Okay, so rapid response doesn't work with this. And then if your ally is defeated by the indirect damage or stuff like that, it won't work. It has to be defeated by an enemy attack. Okay, now I know I did say indirect damage. So a Star Shark that attacks you, even though it deals indirect damage, you can defend with it, and then you just place enough to defeat it and then you would block, and it still counts as defeated. Okay, but it's still an enemy attack. So that's I'm trying to be a little bit clear on the rules here. All right, so that's for that. Now another card that's really cool. Like, okay, so we have allies. What else can we play that makes other players interesting? And this is a card that doesn't see a lot of play right now, and it's called Lead from the Front. Now this is from the core set, and this is a cool card that again doesn't see play because leadership was not a deck that used to play a lot with other characters or with other people. If you play leadership, you feel like you're on your own, just playing your own allies. But this is cool because this is choose a player, and each character that player controls gets plus one toward, plus one attack. And this is not limited to once. So if you have 2 in your hand, you can decide like, hey, dude, you have some really strong allies. Let's give all your guys +2/+2 for the turn. Or +3/+3 if you have enough cards in hand. So if you have enough. So that's why this card is also very, very cool. So you can really give a cool boost to your allies, okay? Or to the allies of someone else. So again, if somebody's playing aggression, he's got Wasp, he's got Hulk, he's got She-Hulk, he's got Sentry. All these characters, they punch for 3 minimum. So giving them that +1/+1 just really feels good for that player playing with you. So it's a very cool interaction, what I think I really like. Now, we are going to talk about some of the allies, but we're also going to talk about Peter and Rocket Raccoon are the 2 characters that have the possibility of going aerial. So we have some extra damage cards that we can actually use here that are pretty fun. It's the Air Supremacy, which means you choose up to X enemies where X is equal to the number of aerial characters you control, and then you deal 3 damage to each of those enemies. So let's say, so if you only have him, it's 2 for 3 damage. It's not that good. But if you include 2 of these really awesome leadership allies, which is Adam Warlock and Falcon, then you actually have 2 for 9 damage. So these allies you kind of want to keep on the table, you know, just to be able to trigger those Air Supremacies, or you want to use Adam Warlocks. And what's cool about this is you don't need to exhaust them to use Air Supremacy. Just the fact that they're on the table augments the Air Supremacy. And that again is going to divide the damage over 3 characters, but still 9 damage divided by 3 characters is a way, and for a 2 cost, is a cheaper and better melee. So it's a melee times 2. So that's why these 2 characters, very, very cool. Now, since we're going to be using Welcome Aboard, there is a bunch of allies that we want to include in our deck. Some of the allies that are going to help everyone, well, everyone knows Maria Hill. Maria Hill makes everyone draw. So you can play Welcome Aboard, Maria Hill, boom, done. Everyone draws a card. You can play Ironheart for free. So basically, then boom, you draw a card. So it's still pretty good. You can have Mockingbird, all right? And then stuns the enemy. So then you're protecting somebody else. And again, you only paid once with Welcome Aboard. You know, for 0, brings that back. Pay 1 cost, boom, put Mockingbird on the table. Hawkeye, great ally. You know, if you're playing a minion heavy scenario, definitely recommend this guy because he's going to do 2 damage every time somebody comes out. And then finally, Nick Fury. Boof. Nick Fury with Welcome Aboard and a regroup is basically you can continuously play Nick Fury, which is very, very cool. And that's the same thing. You can give that to somebody else. Hey, here's Welcome Aboard. Reduce your cost of your next ally by 2. Perfect. Oh man, I have a Nick Fury in my hand. Sweet. And I have a double resource. Bam, poof. Right there, he just generated 3 extra cards. And then you reduce this cost. So that's pretty fun. And then if you have the regroup, you say, dude, you're gonna get to do it again next turn. So that makes it really fun and interactive with the rest of the table, and it's gonna create some really feel good moments for these characters. Now, let's say somebody's playing Hawkeye, you can always replace these with some other really cool allies that you can actually build off of. So US Agent is a great ally with a big butt with 5 health, is super fun. And if you want to dive into the aerial, you can always include a Sky Cycle instead of playing Hawkeye, and just add an extra card in your deck, 41 cards, and then you have like, ooh, now my Air Supremacy can do 12 damage divided by 4 characters. So that again, in a multiplayer setting, is always going to have its value. So you can always do 3 to the boss, and then you can reduce a bunch of other characters really low. So that again, but this is not what we're building. This is just basically a couple of variants on what we can do. You can always put Ronin instead, and that's another guy that you can build off of with an Inspired or something like that to make him even more powerful. So there's just a couple of little variants that you can put in, or you can put in, let's say, Miles Morales, or you can put in like what's the dog's name, or Lockjaw, or just whatever character has your fancy. Okay, and then finally, we're going to add some resources. So we're going to have the 2 powers of leadership. One, because we have the 3 double here and the Air Supremacies, and then some of our allies, again, are a little bit more expensive. So if we can pay for them using the powers of, it's just a little bit cheaper. And then later in the game, we can always pay Air Supremacy, lead from the fronts, and stuff like that for 1 card. So that is going to make our deck even better. And then obviously we're going to have the 3 double resources. Now, finally, if you are somebody who likes to use their allies a lot, and I'm talking like these ones, obviously we're going to use and just kind of burn, and just these are like chump blockers, and just try to get in with the regroup. Adam Warlock and Falcon, I do like them to stay on the table, mostly Adam Warlock, because he can, thwart for 1 and then +3 to something. So he can deal 3 damage, remove 3 threat, or heal somebody for 3. So he's somebody that you want to keep on the table. So I would definitely recommend adding 2 first aids. That gives you a 42 card deck, but again, the first aids are optional. Again, if you have the regroup, you can just use Adam Warlock twice, and then block with him, comes back to your hand, and replay him. Again, that's going to be how you want to play your game and how do you want to play your style. So you say, oh, Steve, this looks pretty cool, but what if I want to play the other Guardians that don't have the aerial? Well, that's pretty simple too. So again, the core of the deck is going to remain the same. The only thing that you're going to change if you don't want the aerial is you're just going to change these cards. If you're not playing Rocket, or Peter Quill, or whoever else is going to get the aerial. Let's say you want to run a Drax leadership or a Groot leadership, and you want to play with that multiplayer synergy. Same thing for either Gamora or Venom. So the only thing you just do is you can just always easily change up the synergy by adding either the allies that we don't have. So like Gamora or Drax or Rocket or Groot, and you can add those from the basic pool. And then instead of the Air Supremacy, you can just add a couple of Blaze of Glories. And then again, that's going to be an even more powerful effect. So if you have Blaze of Glory with the Rocket allies plus the lead from the front, then all of a sudden you're getting +3/+3 to your board. That is just going to become insane value. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. This is, welcome aboard deck. Welcome aboard and regroup. So so this is the deck, guys. This is all, and this is only for Guardians characters, obviously. This is a Guardians teamwork leadership build. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it will help you beat the game. Ciao, ciao.